sort of find solutions for, and create pathways for the jobs that they have identified that they can fill. We backwards map everything that we set up constructs to sort of meet that need. We aren't just training just to train, because then you have a whole pool of talent out there that can fill positions, but there are no jobs. So it's better to work backwards, and if that company says, look, we want to fill a specified job, then we figure out what that criteria needs to be, what the role and responsibilities are, and then seek to create training that provide those hard and soft skills. Another important thing is corporate coaching on the culture socialization. You can't take someone from an environment, they bring all of their baggage from their communities and drop them into a completely new environment without any sort of socialization and expect them to thrive. And it needs to happen on both ends. The person being hired needs to know the environment they're walking into, but the company that's doing the hiring needs to know who they're hiring. They need to make sure that they have set up an ecosystem that fosters success. And so having that sort of dual coaching along the way really sets one up for success. And we found that that's been a really appropriate way to sort of tackle our training. And we found a lot of success with it.
Fantastic. September, I'd love to hop to you on that. Your organization is one that we're all intimately familiar with, and as we've learned just briefly moments ago, it's also heavily influenced the missions of other organizations for your fellow panelists. The NAACP has a far reach in terms of representation. They have, I think, a mission that's very directed, but can touch on a lot of places. In your perspective, how has the ecosystem that the NAACP has created, how does that really feed into this mission of preparing people to work in this particular industry?
Well, I think that NAACP has a lot of different initiatives, as far as even supporting small businesses that are an important part of the entertainment industry, as providing vendors, and small businesses can bring craft service, they can bring, I don't know, props and vendor, the camera crew, the equipment, the lighting. So there's a lot of different ways that the NAACP works on a broad scale. Here at the Hollywood Bureau, I think we have a multi-pronged approach. Is the advocacy piece is definitely part of it. We're meeting with networks, we're meeting with production companies, we're meeting with film studios. We have an advocacy council of key executives that we are touching base with at least a couple times a year. We're forming alliances and partnerships with other community organizations that are doing advocacy in this space, so that we're a collective voice in some cases. We each have our unique thing that we're fighting for ourselves, but together we can be really powerful, because sometimes they kind of seek to divide. So we're all asking for little things, and then they'll go, well, we gave this one and that one. Like, oh, we're going to come together, and you're going to tell us all what you're going to do for us. So that is interesting. And now, when we talk about jobs in the entertainment industry, I think it's important when we think about that, we're thinking about writers, usually, in the training programs, you think about writers, directors, I want to produce, I want to direct, I want to write, I want to act, to camera. But do you know how many different jobs are in the industry? That if you just took just the camera department alone, the cinematographer to the camera operator to the first AC to the second AC, you've got the director line is the PA, the stage manager, the first AD, second AD, director. You have just on the set designer, the carpenter, the prop person. I was a script supervisor. There's the script department. There's so many different jobs. So I think it's good to expose folks that say I want to work in this business to channel them in a certain direction based on their skill set, because pretty much every single skill set that exists, there's a job for you in the entertainment industry, if that's what you want. And I think it's important to know it's not a 9-to-5 job, and that's not for everybody. And it might not be the right thing for you throughout your lifetime. It might be right for you for particular parts of your life. And I think an important thing if you're thinking about getting into this industry.
And if I can just add to what September mentioned, alliances and partnerships. I mean, that is so critical amongst us as nonprofits, but, you know, every major studio, every production house, you know, if you say you need more writers, and we know that, what Carl was saying, that we know that we can talk to people about being writers, you know, versus being a boom operator, right? They're two different, you know, very different things, but those partnerships and alliances, I think in general, are just super critical for us as nonprofits and for the production and motion picture industry.
This is a general question, but going off of Shannon's comment, I'd like to know from anyone who would be willing to answer, what do those partnerships look like? How do you foster those conversations with these big, oftentimes international conglomerates that really, in terms of their bottom line, may not have any initiative to change?
I guess I'll take that first, because my whole philosophy is your program is only successful as the strength of your alliance, and everyone plays a specific role. You may have companies that are strategically placed higher. You may have companies that may not have the capacity to hire, but do want to raise the awareness of your program and connect you to other principals. And then you may have companies who say, you know what, we want to make our executives available to mentor, we want to make them available to train. And so really placing them in those fundamental places, play those specific roles, then you can start to work as a cohesive coalition, and you create your community. And then through word of mouth, it starts to grow organically. And that's really how we've approached our partnerships. And now there's a lot of alliances out there that are working behind the scenes together. In fact, right now the state of California has launched a registered apprenticeship initiative where they are creating curriculums that are being deployed throughout public schools, high schools, to make the students aware of career pathways in their creative economy. And then from there, they can go into partnering community colleges to continue that training or go into specialized programs like backstage careers. And then you get placed as an apprentice in these different roles that you can fill and build a career. So it's a part of, it's that economy where if you know the right people, then you all of a sudden are plugged into all of these different initiatives, and you know how to serve your constituents.
Before we move on, I'd just like to highlight